like,
comment, subscribe.
The body of a young girl was found on the side of a gravel road.
The perpetrators. 4 teenage girls. Join me as we explore the unnatural death of Shanda Sharer. Welcome to Simply Told. Shanda Sharer was born on the 6th of June 1979 in Pineville, Kentucky. Her parents got divorced, and she moved to Louisville with her family after her mother remarries. She attends St. Paul's School, where she was on the cheerleading squad, even joining the volleyball and softball teams. June 1991, the family moved to Albany, Indiana, after her mother's marriage fails. Laurie Tackett was born on the 5th of October 1974, in Madison, Indiana. Her home was a disruptive one. She was molested at a young age, and always coming into conflict with her mom. She got into self-mutilation when she began dating a girl who was also into self-harm. 2 days after being released from hospital, after her parents found out that she'd been cutting herself, she was once again rushed to hospital after she'd cut her wrists too deeply. She stayed with various friends in Louisville afterwards. And that's when she met
Melinda
Loveless. Toni Lawrence was born on the 14th of February 1976, in Madison. She was close friends with Rippey, and was also abused by a relative at the age of 9, then raped at the age of 14. She would later attempt suicide. Rippey was born on the 9th of June 1976. Her parents divorced at a young age, moving with her mother to Michigan. Her parents resumed their relationship in 1987. Later she would be reunited with her childhood friends, Tackett and Lawrence. And like them, she too was into self-mutilation. Melinda Loveless was born on the 28th of October 1975. She was the youngest of 3. She was molested at a young age, and even attempts suicide. Melinda Loveless started a relationship with Amanda Heavrin. But it wasn't long until Amanda and Melinda Loveless' relationship goes south. With her parents separating and her mother getting remarried, Loveless began acting out, getting into fights. Her fighting would inevitably get her counseling. Amanda would also get into a fight in her junior year while attending Hazelwood Junior High, with another student, Shanda Sharer. They became friends later, while in detention. Their friendship grew to the point where they began sending love letters to one another. Loveless was not liking what was happening between Shanda and Amanda, even confronting them at a school dance they were attending together. Later Loveless began openly stating that she wanted to kill Shanda, to the point she publicly threatens her. After that incident, Shanda was transferred to a Catholic school. The 10th of January 1992. Lawrence, Rippey and Tackett was heading towards Loveless' home, in New Albany. Rippey and Lawrence had never met Loveless before. And Tackett, Lawrence, and Rippey had never met Shanda. Tackett was already in on the plan to intimidate Shanda with a knife for stealing Amanda from Loveless. When they arrived at Shanda's home, Rippey and Lawrence was instructed to ask for Shanda, introducing themselves as friends of Amanda. She couldn't make it at that time, as her parents was still awake. but said that she'd break free at midnight when they were asleep. At around 12:30 the girls returned. But this time Lawrence no longer wanted to lure Shanda out, so Tackett and Rippey went, while Loveless hid in the back of the car with a knife. Shanda got into the car. Once in the car, Loveless jumped from the back seat with the knife to Shanda's throat. They drove to Utica, to a witch's castle. There the girls taunt Shanda, even threatening to cut her hair off, which upset Shanda even more. She repeatedly begged the girls to take her home. They left the castle, but not to take Shanda home. Instead the girls got lost. But they eventually end up in a forest near Tackett's home. There, they took Shanda to an abandoned house. Frightened, Lawrence and Rippey stayed in the car, with Tackett and Loveless leading Shanda into the building. They made Shanda strip to her panties. After some taunting, Loveless began hitting Shanda. Loveless continued the torture by kneeing Shanda repeatedly in the face. Afterwards, Loveless tries to slit Shanda's throat, but was unsuccessful. Rippey would join the girls with the torture, by holding Shanda down while Loveless and Tackett repeatedly stabs Shanda in the chest. Still alive, they attempt to strangle Shanda, but only until she was unconscious. They place Shanda in the trunk of their car. They drove to Tackett's home to clean up. They then hear Shanda screaming from out of the trunk. That's when Tackett went out, holding a knife, and stabbed Shanda a few more times, to silence her. Later, at around 2:30 that morning, Lawrence and Rippey stays, while Loveless and Tackett drives to town. Shanda was still alive at that point, making enough noise that it made the girls stop the car and open the trunk. They claimed that at that point Shanda sat up, with her eyes rolled back in her head, unable to speak. Tackett grabs the tire iron and proceeds to hit Shanda over the head with it, until she claimed she felt her head cave in. Loveless and Tackett returned back at Tackett's home later that morning to clean up. The girls' chatter woke Tackett's parents, who was displeased in seeing all the girls in their home. They then drive to a gas station to fill up. But they would also fill a Pepsi bottle with gasoline. So the girls drove to a secluded spot, known to Rippey. Lawrence, refusing to be a part of it and remains in the car. Tackett and Rippey wraps Shanda in a blanket and carries her out to a field. They pour some of the gasoline on Shanda, who was still alive at that point, and sets her on fire. They then leave, returning moments later to pour the rest of the gasoline on her. The girls then drove to Amanda's home to pick her up. They then drove to Loveless' home, where they told Amanda what happened. Amanda didn't believe their story. That's until they'd shown the bloody palm prints and socks found in the trunk of Tackett's car. Amanda was at that stage in shock, and asked to be taken home. As they pull up at Amanda's home, Loveless gives Amanda a kiss, confesses her love for her, but also begs Amanda not to tell a soul. The 11th of January 1992. Two brothers had planned on a day of hunting, when they noticed what seemed to be a mannequin, lying on the side of the road. But soon after exiting their vehicle, it dawns on them, that what they were looking at, was a burnt body of a child. The police got their call at 10:55 that morning. The sight of a young girl lying on the ground with her hands and face burnt, was what detectives saw when they arrived at the crime scene. Detectives initially believed her death was due to a drug deal gone bad. On the same day, on the 11th of January, Shanda's father had phoned neighbors and friends looking for her. Before 2 p.m., he calls her mother and explains that Shanda is missing. They meet up, and files a missing persons report. Later that day, just after 8 p.m. that night, Lawrence and Rippey walks into the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, accompanied by their parents, where they both gave statements regarding the death of Shanda Sharer. The body found in the field was identified, through dental records, as Shanda Sharer. The following day, on the 12th of January, Tackett and Loveless was arrested. After serving 9 years, Lawrence was released on the 14th of December 2000. Rippey was released on the 28th of April 2006, after serving 14 years behind bars. After 26 years behind bars, Tackett was released on the 11th of January 2018. Coincidentally, on the 26th anniversary of Shanda's death. After serving more than 26 years behind bars, Loveless was released on the 5th of September 2019.